And there came a day unlike any other, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars Comics Daily from Scorcher Hill, hosted by Brian Keown and Matt Wood. From Scorcher Hill, this is Star Wars Comics Daily. I'm Matt Wood.
And I'm Brian Keown.
And welcome to episode 122 of Star Wars Comics Daily, River of Chaos.
It's 123.
Is it really?
I'm pretty sure that's what I've got on mine.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 122 is Star Wars 31.
At this point, Brian, it's whatever.
Right,
It doesn't
okay,
matter.
sure.
It's episode 400.
Sure.
Star Wars comics never stop.
All right.
Yeah, 123. I thought I had this down, but whatever. 123 of Star Wars Comics Daily. River of Chaos number 4. Now that is right?
Yes.
Okay, good. River of Chaos number 4 was released October 24th, 1995.
The writer is Louise Simonson. Penciler is June Brigman. Inker is Roy Richardson. Colorist is Dave Nestel. Letterer is Steve Dittrow. And the cover is by June Brigman and Roy Richardson.
Excellent. Well, joining us today, because we thought, we can't let River of Chaos come to an end without, bringing someone else into the fun. Joining us today, you've worked on for StarWars.com. You've worked on the Looking for Leia sci-fi documentary. Amy Richau.
Hello.
And you finished, if I'm getting this correct, you have finished, but you are continuing your 365 days of Star Wars women.
I really relate to you getting the number wrong of the episode because I've done that a couple of times. But yeah, I did the 365 Star Wars Women project in 2018 where I did a post about Star Wars female characters or creators every day. I kind of did it sporadically in 2019. And then I said I was going to do it every day in 2020. But then the whole COVID quarantine thing happened, and I had a really bad case of bronchitis, which luckily was bronchitis, but I was not feeling well for much of March, and I was kind of like, no.
Yeah.
So I'm back to sporadic.
Every once in a while, you have to think, I think my health is just slightly more important.
Right.
Yeah. No, I found myself stressing about it, and I was like, you should never stress about Star Wars.
Exactly.
No.
Yes, that will drive you crazy. And correct me if I'm wrong, you have not yet included Mora in any of your posts.
No, I was completely unaware that River of Chaos existed until you asked me about it. And I find it there's definitely several posts I could do about it. I was pleased that I liked it overall, because then otherwise that would have been just kind of sad. But yeah, no, I have not profiled any of the people, the women who worked on it, or Mora, or the other woman whose name it begins with a J, and I can't think of what it is.
Jalous, I don't know how you say it.
We're going to be talking about her. Don't worry.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's good. There's a lot of women that are working on it, involved in behind the scenes and in the comics, so you got some stuff to mine here out of it. That's good.
I always love getting doing the I didn't read really any of the Legends comics. I really the 365 project is kind of where I fell in love with comics, very, very late in life. Well, I'm not ancient, but I did not, read them when I was in my, 20s. And so for me, getting recommendations has always been very helpful. And I enjoyed actually reading this, because usually what happens is I hear about this character of Mora, and then I spoil the entire series by reading a Wikipedia or something like that thing about her. And then it's I never actually have time to read the comic series. So this was a nice, I actually did it in the right order. I've read the thing now, and now I can write stuff about it.
Nice.
Well, I want to mention before we start, when I first approached you about joining us for an episode, I asked, have you read any Star Wars Legacy? And I think, I can't remember how the conversation went, but your initial response was something along the lines of, I've read summaries. It's complicated, and I was like, "Oh, you have no idea. It's very good."
When I did, what I can't even remember who the very first character I did, but I remember reading her Wikipedia like reading the first couple of paragraphs, and I was like, I have no idea what I just read. Like none of those words, none of those names, none of those terms, all of them are highlighted and lead to their own different Wikipedia pages. And like you just end up clicking and clicking and clicking. And I was just like, wow, like this is wild. But you know, I'd like to find the time to dive into it because it seemed quite something. But it was very, very hard to write a one sentence description about some of those characters.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And there's a lot.
Yeah.
Brian, I think we've discussed Star Wars Legacy for about 15 hours now over the podcast, and I think we're just now kind of getting an idea of what
Right.
happens in that comic. But I think it's going to be one of those cases of we're going to miss it when it's gone, so we might as well
Yeah.
enjoy it. Well, let me tell you guys what happens in River of Chaos number 4, the finale of River of Chaos. The Hadrachi are preparing to cremate Pa Don. They view his dealings with the Empire as the reason he's died and accept that maybe Chono wasn't so wrong after all. At the Imperial garrison, Greiger and Glot are torturing Mora. Greiger pays Glot some more Dragite crystals to hunt down the rebel who helped Mora in her attempt to destroy the mines. At the rebel camp, Tromer is pleading his case to Princess Leia and her rebels. Chono looks at his time stream and says that Tromer did not give up the rebels to the Empire. All of a sudden, Jalos comes in confessing that it was her who betrayed her queen. She seems pretty bummed out about it. Tromer tells them about his mission to capture Greiger and pleads for the opportunity to save Mora, which Leia grants. Tromer, Merrick, Jalos, Widget, and D4R5, I hate droid names sometimes, all go to save Mora and arrive at her cell pretty quickly. Mora isn't thrilled with Tromer, believing that he betrayed her. He says he didn't, and it's enough for her to accept it and hop on a swoop bike with him. While the rebels are escaping, they are pursued by Glot on a swoop bike. He fires upon Mora, but Jalos hops off her bike and plays human shield for her queen. During the chaos, the droids are dropped. Tromer tells Merrick to take Mora, find the droids, and get back to the rebel base, while he fights Glot. As Tromer gets ready for his one-on-one with the bounty hunter, a few Hadrachi show up and tell him to shoot off the bounty hunter's horn. Tromer does this and then shoots Glot, leaving him for dead. Tromer and the Hadrachi leave. Later, Greiger and his stormtroopers find the nearly dead Glot, who tells them where the rebels are hiding. Tromer and the Hadrachi come to the rebel base. He confesses his backstory to a very open-minded Mora. The Hadrachi invite Chono back in their time stream good graces, just in time to predict that the Imperials are going to surround them the next day. Sure enough, Greiger and his Imperials are preparing a surprise attack on the rebels, but the rebels are more than prepared to fight. During the battle, Greiger captures Mora and holds a blaster to her head. Tromer kicks the... Let me make sure I get this right. Correct me if I'm wrong, because this was the craziest moment in any Star Wars comic.
Yes, for sure.
Tromer kicks his blaster hand, and the Imperial accidentally blows his head off. Blows his own head off.
That is what happened.
Okay, all right. Romance blooms in the galaxy. All of a sudden, more Imperials arrive, and Tromer announces these are the real deal. He called them in, and his dad arrived. To Tromer's disappointment, however, the Imperials behave like Imperials and move to arrest Mora. Tromer finally realizes that there is no such thing as a good Imperial, even if that Imperial is your daddy. So he shoots the stormtrooper arresting Mora, hops on a swoop bike again, scoops her up, and drives out of there. Leia, feeling especially generous, accepts Tromer into the Rebel Alliance. They move to the Dragite mines to blow them up before they leave Mahali. They plant explosives all around the mine, but before they are able to blow the place up, they are quickly surrounded by stormtroopers and Mora is shot in the arm. They blast their way out of the mine, but Merrick stays behind and manually blows up the mine himself and the stormtroopers inside. Later, the rebels feel that they have done enough damage on Mahali and pick up and leave. Tromer, Mora, and Chono are now members of the Rebel Alliance as they head toward Hoth. Okay, so it's a wild, crazy story. One of the things I picked up on in issue 4 is there's always a swoop bike nearby to hop on and escape. I feel like it happens in every issue. There's always a swoop bike pursuit, which I'm not complaining. Swoop bikes are cool, but it just seems convenient.
We've been running with swoop bikes ever since the first issue, so
Yeah,
it's not crazy.
it's not crazy, but it's just kind of crazy.
Well, sure.
All right. Let's start with the cremation scene.
All right.
This is my first question that I want to, give to the panel. Do cemeteries exist in Star Wars, or is cremation like the universal, that's how we dispose of the dead?
Well, I have no idea. I would imagine. I mean, we're talking hundreds of different planets, so sure there's all kinds of different burials and ways to deal with your dead.
I always only
But
see like funeral pyres.
yeah, I was gonna say it's been mostly funeral pyres.
Yeah, no, I have not thought about this very much, but like I would think it would be like the most common. Like, you don't really see people, I don't feel like, shooting out into space or like sending them off to sea. Like those are kind of the other, kind of things that I feel like pop to mind where I'm trying to think if I ever saw that, but I don't think
it's a Star Trek thing, I think, is shooting the body into space like Spock.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you do that, allows the opportunity for them to come back to life. Whereas if you burn them, that's pretty much it. Amy, how do you feel about the whole time stream or time river thing that the Hadrachi is going on? Do you think that's a Force thing, or do you think it's something entirely different?
I think it could be one of those things that's kind of related to the Force. Like, if you ask me, like, Amy, what do you think the time stream is? I'm like, I don't really. Like, I was like, I enjoyed the time stream, but I can't explain what I think it is or, like, what was going on. But it seemed like it was a little kind of, like, telling the future. But, like, when people are using the Force to tell the future, like, it doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to true. It's kind of like, like the little bit of vision. I enjoyed that in this issue, like, that almost like one of the very first pages, it was like the time stream, river of chaos. And I was like, ooh, time,
Right.
But I did like that, the whole like new species of the, is it Hadrachi? Is that the name of the species?
That's what we're going with. We sometimes feel like we're the only ones that have said this word out loud.
I think we should just take ownership of it now. But like, I enjoyed that species. I think that it was like, it was interesting to I don't like it when you go to different planets and like everyone of the same new species agrees, they're all like, no, you're good, you're bad, I think that they did a good job of showing how different factions felt different ways about the rebels or the Imperials, but to me the whole point of the time stream was kind of like just a lesson that you can't just block out bad stuff. Like, you've got to actually take a stand sometimes. Otherwise, like, it'll come back to you, and like, just ignoring bad stuff around you is not the way.
I also like the element of like that it's clear when they all come together, like when they accept Chono, it's like, hell, okay, we've been disagreeing, so like it's harder to read, but we all come together and like we're going to get, oh, okay, it's much clearer and we understand a lot better. It's it's a good metaphor in Star Wars, which is all about their metaphors. Okay, is Mora married to Greiger yet?
I would think not. We haven't seen any vows or anything, and that seems to be the.
It's never brought up in this issue.
Right. Go with the Princess Bride. Did you say I do? No. Well, then you're not married.
No.
So.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't think that they had actually.
Yeah.
That had actually happened.
Yeah. It's only mentioned the one time, like at the end of the last issue, and I'm, like we don't see like the cliche, like the duped like holy clergyman who has to like perform the marriage. It's like, right. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like everybody's cool with this. Maybe that was going to be Glott's job or something.
I really liked Glott. Can we please talk about Glott more?
Yes.
I was like, oh Like I was very sad to see that he only appears in River of Chaos. I think he should be brought back.
He's he is a Godel, which I know nothing about Godels, but apparently they're what was the word where they can see briefly into the future?
Yeah, they can see like a minute in the future or something like that. I don't know.
Where does that come from?
I think if they didn't mention it in the last issue, or maybe it was just in this one, but I think they kind of mentioned it in the last one, and then it's kind of a big piece of this one.
Yeah. Whenever they brought that up, that caught me by surprise, and I just felt like at this point everybody has powers.
Yeah, I think it came up for just a second in the last one because that's why he's such a good fighter or whatever.
I also feel like Glott's also. I don't know if he's a good bounty hunter in the sense that a bounty hunter is kind of supposed to be like indifferent towards, the person they're working for and the person that they're hunting. And Glott just seems like he is all on board. He's like really cool with Greiger doing this. He's just like, yeah, that's right. She's making fun of you, dude, like the other person. And I don't know. It seems like he is. This Godel is goading Greiger a bit too much.
Yeah,
I think here.
He definitely seems like he's on the Empire side. He's down to killing some people and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He's a little bloodthirsty for a Godel.
Yeah,
he was dramatic, but that's why I liked him. And the whole thing about shoot him in the horns. I was like,
right.
But I was like, that's weird, but I'll go with it.
Right. That instantly was like a plot hole for me of like, okay, well, if he can see like into the future, he's gonna see you shooting at his horn coming, and also shoot at any part of him if that's the case. Like shoot his eyes, that will stop his powers too, I'm sure. And then like it was shoot the horn, and then he just instantly shoots him dead, and it's.
right.
Well, no, actually,
although he's not actually dead.
Yeah, no one dies instantly in this comic. They all hang on for a little while to get their last.
Well, Greiger died pretty quick.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He got shot in the face, so he died pretty good.
Greiger.
They literally show his head on fire.
Right. Yeah.
For like 2 pages.
Yeah. Okay, so the Rebel camp. Amy, what are your thoughts towards Jalos?
Oh, well, I feel like I'm not even gonna remember enough about her, but like I feel like she just seemed to be very like, no, I don't like her, I'm jealous, she's bad, and then she finds out that she's the queen. She's like, oh my gosh, I've destroyed the queen. It seemed very like. She seemed like a flip flopper of her intentions, where it was like it was kind of, she went from an extreme, you're an outsider, to like, oh no, you're my leader, very quickly. So I found her annoying.
Yeah. She's sadly, we have a bit of a list I think going now. This was unintentional, but of like spurred, jilted female Star Wars characters that should be a lot cooler, but then just instantly die. And it happens in the comics way too often.
I was going to say,
I feel like it's understandable that, she would go through these like things, but since she wasn't in there very much, it just all seemed very like...
This is her only characteristic,
yeah, is that she hates or loves, and that's it.
Yeah. What are you saying, Brandon?
I was just gonna say, I don't think you missed anything. She just shows up in the 3rd issue. It's like, I hate her, and she turns her over to the Empire, and then instantly, is sad because she's the queen. That's her whole story.
I will say,
it's always sad. I'm always happy when you're. Leia is obviously in it, but you've got Mora, who's a new character, which is great, and then you've got another woman like in there, which is great. But then I'm like, oh yeah, no, she hates her though. Yeah, okay, because like that you just see that so much of like, women being jealous of each other and trying to take each other down. Why can't women just be friends in Star Wars?
I will say this about her: she doesn't bottle up her feelings. She holds no secrets. Like she is instantly. Like she'll burst in and like, oh hey, I turned in the queen, I'm sorry. She doesn't try to like cover anything up. Like, I think even last issue she approached Merrick pretty quickly, saying like, I thought you loved me, and also I hate Mora.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's, I guess, as long as she's wearing her feelings on her sleeve, I guess that, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it does move the story along, doesn't it?
It's at least something.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. What are your feelings? So, Amy, we've been talking about this for 3 issues so far, and it's a wild and crazy comic. So, if a bunch of my questions begin with, "Hey, what do you think of this thing?" I'm sorry, but what do you think of Widget?
Oh, wait, I can't think of who that is.
Widget is Mora's droid with the hat and the looks like he's wearing clothes.
I didn't really pay very much attention. I feel like I don't feel like I have a thought on that.
Yeah.
Do you like droids wearing clothes? Because we don't see that a lot in Star Wars, and I think I'm into it.
Well, I did certainly, see 3PO wearing that, winter jacket in The Rise of Skywalker was delightful to me. So yeah, no, I have nothing against droids wearing clothes. But I feel like I kind of I did not give this droid their due. But I did not come away with a strong feeling about it.
I will freely admit that I did not notice the droid either. It was Matt that pointed it out, and
I get hung up on these things.
You notice it, you can't unsee it.
I mean, so this leads to my next thought, which is well, I wonder why more people don't dress up their droids. And then I thought about how easy is it to put a T-shirt on a protocol droid, and I'm like, okay, that has to be pretty difficult. That has to take a lot of time. There's a reason why people don't do this, probably. And so that's where I land on the whole droid dressing up. But I think you can put pants on a droid pretty easily.
I mean, I guess.
But everybody in Star Wars is so poor. They only have one outfit per movie anyway. So they don't have extra pants just laying around to give droids. What about this protocol droid's USB port being in its stomach? I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously 3PO has one of those too, but I don't know what the function of that is.
I just didn't think it worked like that,
You would think it wouldn't, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it because the other droid is short and that
was
just easy?
Yeah, because I think it's usually the back of the head. That's where Babu's operating in Rise of Skywalker, but they also haven't seen that movie yet. But anyway, yeah, you can't. Yeah, I guess Widget can't really jump up and plug his information in there.
Yeah, you don't want your computer to just have one USB port. You gotta have plenty, dude. So.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about accessibility.
Right.
My biggest disappointment in the issue was the rescue of Mora and how quickly it there's panels dedicated to him dressing up as a stormtrooper and having the handcuffs on, and you think it's gonna be this huge heist to save her, and it's instantly just bash the guy in the face and run to her cell.
Well, man, there is so much going on in this comic book. You're not in any, I'm not criticizing you at all, but your synopsis was so long. They get to killing to Glot, and I'm like, man, we're only a third of the way through it. It feels like you've been reading for 10 minutes.
Look, I get that, but I feel with this issue, especially a lot of these early 90s Dark Horse comics, it's almost a mini story on every page.
Right.
And then I get to the current Marvel Star Wars, and it's Dr. Aphra, there's a heist, she steals a bunch of credits, and then the issue ends.
Right.
Yeah. And these, it's well, she's captured, she forgives him, she's angry at him, and it's So.
There were a lot of named characters in this series.
Oh, yeah.
And so which is interesting just because I feel when I've read more, recent stuff that you don't get quite as many, quite as much stuff, maybe it's just not as fast paced, which I don't mean in a good or bad way. It's just slightly different.
I feel Lucasfilm has learned their lesson. If they're if we name every character, then we have to do a spinoff of that character, and everybody's going to want to know the backstory. So I think now there's just unidentified droid.
I know I get really annoyed though when I see a cool. It doesn't actually happen very often, but when I'm doing a Star Wars comic and I see a female character that I want to do something about, and I'm name her, name. Where is it? So I don't have to do unnamed Twi'lek and blah 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 blah.
Just give me something. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, swoop chase. I think we talked. Well, let's talk about Jalus's death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that she's just kind of left. I get it. You got to run because there's a Godel chasing you, and those things can see into the future. But I hate that she's sacrificed. I mean, I get it. It's cool. It's how she, pays for what she's done. Even though I don't know, I can't really even tell you what specific thing that she did was. But
well, she turned more into the Empire.
Yeah,
it was pretty
indirectly. She told one of the Hadrachis, who then told Greiger, I feel like it's not worth taking a shot, especially given that freeing her was basically all the doors were opened,
Sure.
It's not that difficult. It's not like stormtroopers are chasing after him. It's just one Godel. But
no, if this had been a continuing series, I would definitely have been like, well, that was a complete waste. But I mean, even the coolest characters don't show up ever.
We're never going to see any of these characters ever again.
Right. So it's not as big a tragedy as I think it would have been.
I know, but
she's no Jolly.
She's no Jolly. Yeah. Which that's another. I think we have like a red shirt situation here, Brian. Like if the female character's name begins with a J, they're probably going to die in a very disappointing way.
I mean, you're making a line between two dots, but if there's a third one, we'll see. We can call it something. But
how do you think they knew that the shooting the Godel's horn is like the Achilles heel?
They saw it in the time stream, dude.
Oh right, okay, yeah. Dang it.
They're fighting their future scene against his future scene.
Yeah. That's right. This issue's airtight. I'm sorry.
And by the way, shooting the horn didn't kill him.
I know. Yeah. I understand that.
Right.
But
because they got another shot in on him.
I feel like shooting any part of him would have accomplished the same thing.
Yeah, theoretically, like you said, he should have been able to see the shot at his horn coming just as easy he would have seen the shot anywhere else. But theoretically, taking out the horn takes out his precognition.
Maybe he didn't know whether or not it was his right horn or his left horn, and he just made a judgment call and turned out to be wrong.
Yeah, ironically turned into the blast instead of away from the blast.
Yeah. Like our boy Greiger obviously does.
Yes.
Here in a minute. What I do think is cute, because obviously we know that Mora and Tromer are going to end up together, is that they're going to have matching blaster wounds.
Oh, yeah.
They both got shot in the arm. I think, the couple that...
It's bonded. It's a bonding moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's... And I think they're on opposite arms, too, which I think that's also kind of sweet. That they complete each other. Their time stream is stronger when they're together.
Does that mean she's going to have to get a robot leg, too?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Probably. It's inevitable.
Okay.
It's inevitable.
Sure.
I don't know how... I'm not about grave robbing, but I don't know how you don't steal that awesome, wrist gun that Glot has.
Well, I agree, but they're in a hurry, and that thing's probably booby-trapped or something, so if it had been me, I probably wouldn't have worked too hard to get to it. I might have tried, mess with it just for a second, and see if it just fell right off, but...
If you're going to leave Jalus for dead, the very least you could do is also leave the gun,
Yeah, we don't... They run, but then they kill Glot, so theoretically they could have taken her body with them.
Maybe they did. Because
after that, the fight is over. Then, yeah, we don't see anything, so I don't know for sure. But
maybe she doesn't die. Maybe she's pretending that it's a fatal wound, and just so she can get out of this insanity.
I mean, we'll see that happen twice in Legacy tomorrow. But
of course, yeah, okay, great.
But so we could, if you want to headcanon that she's alive, I got no problem with that.
All right, cool. Meaning we can bring her back whenever Marvel gives us a job.
Yeah.
We'll add her to the list of characters that...
Well, we talked about it last time we did Rivercast. We're going to do a whole story with her and Jolly, and we're going to gather up all the jilted females who got killed and
and
team together.
It'll be like a cool, I don't know, like a team of like a dirty dozen of and just totally redeem them.
Right.
I love it. I don't know if I agree with Mora's acceptance of Tromer here. I mean, I get it. He's like the first human guy that you've probably hung out with. But man, it's kind of a bummer how quickly she is to just say, you know what, it's cool. I get it. You're an Imperial, but we can't help who we're born with, or are born. We can't help how we're born. And I mean, he does quickly call the Empire shortly after this, just to like test how they would react. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. Keep an arm's length. Don't just rush in.
Yeah, no, it was a very quick romance. Like, it was very much like love at first sight, which also I thought didn't really necessarily work. And I thought it was kind of interesting that, he was just like shocked that they were gonna, kill or arrest Mora. And I was just like, Mora, this is a red flag.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And she also, her character just kind of, went to more of like a damsel, like, just like very excited to be rescued with him, when she wasn't like that before. So I felt like that the character changed a bit when near the end, when she decided that she was gonna, be romantically linked to this guy. It seemed like her character almost changed a little bit, which I didn't really care for. But I do like overall in Star Wars when they have the Imperials who have doubts, and then change sides to the rebels. I think that that's always an interesting. It's always interesting.
Do we ever see it the other way around, or is that just something that we don't kind of ever want to see in Star Wars? The rebel that gets a little angry and joins the Empire, or is that transition just like impossible because the Empire would just kill you if you were once a rebel?
I would imagine that's how it would go, because we read that Valance story with Vader where he's hunting down the rebel who like ran from Yavin 4, and there was no like option where he could join the Empire. It was just, I'm going to torture you to get Luke's name. So I would imagine that the Empire's too evil to give anybody a second chance, kind of a deal.
Evil or strategic?
Well, okay, if you want to. It sounds like maybe you're joining the Empire, dude. Is that where we're going?
No.
Okay.
I think on this podcast I have once given this wasn't a bad idea on the Empire's behalf thing, and then instantly was like, what am I doing? This makes me sound horrible. No, they're all evil.
I mean, I bet it has to happen, just thinking of other kind of like, I just watched The Matrix a couple weeks ago, and, one of their guys is like, I want to be in The Matrix. So surely there's rebels who are like, this is horrible. I'm living in an ice cave. Can I just join the Empire and, have, 3 meals a day and, be in a better position? I don't know.
Are you referring to Joey Pants and not calling him Joey Pants?
I was, yes.
Okay.
His name is Cypher in the movie, dude. But
okay.
Yes, Joey Pants is the actor.
It is a case of the actor's real name is much cooler than his character's name. So, yeah, Greiger getting his head shot off.
Yes, and not only first thing last week when we got to the end of the issue, I just flipped ahead and saw this, and I thought he's committed suicide for a second, but then realized he's got kicked in the face.
Which has happened a lot also in Star Wars comic books. Holy cow.
I mean, more than you'd expect. I don't know if it's a lot. But
it goes from me never seeing it in Star Wars in any medium to me seeing it all the time in this specific medium.
Okay. I don't know if all the time is accurate, but again, more than I would expect. But I also like that it's also, not only does he kick him and shoot him in the head, he also Wayne's Worlds him and says, not. Like, okay, man.
Man, I didn't notice that, but that does make it cooler. Man, he has like some real, does he have the high ground, or like, does he just catch some crazy air there?
Oh, well, he's got a robot leg. Although he's kicking
that's
him.
Right.
I think he's kicking him with the
robot leg. Very helpful, yeah.
Mm. The robot leg helps out regardless.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Boy. Specow, says the guy. Which is cool. Me being a huge fan of Leia, I will say that I do like how this comic uses Leia, but she is not at all the main character. Like, Leia is not important to the...
Oh, no. Yeah, it could have been any other rebel leader if they wanted to.
But who are you going to put on the cover?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to sell the comic.
Exactly.
And like you said, she wasn't. It wasn't like they didn't use her well. She was fine in it. It's just she's not the lead.
Man, that panel on the next page where Greiger's head is just on fire. It's so crazy.
And then the next page where his head continues to still be on
Oh my
fire.
gosh. It's just
I guess
wild.
maybe it's just smoking on that page. But...
I wonder if June Brigman turned in some incredibly graphic original pages, and like the editor was just like, we got to cover this up with fire. Like, we might be an independent comic book publisher, but
Right.
come on.
Oh my gosh,
still
I am
so-
looking at this. His whole head is on fire. It's very small, but yeah. I
Yeah,
had not really noticed quite the large thing of fire on his head.
I've never seen a Star Wars blaster do that, so I'm blown away by it. No pun intended.
That is one of the things that I noticed a lot in this comic book. Like that blaster specifically, like the Han Solo blaster.
Right, yeah. Like Leia's got one, Greiger's got one. They're everywhere, but it is probably the coolest like Star Wars pistol, right?
For sure.
I mean, I like the long-barreled one that like Leia has in like Episode 4, but it's up there. We need to rank the Star Wars pistols at some point.
Okay.
That sounds important.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to sympathize with Tromer's father when he causes the guy to not shoot at his son?
I think so. I think just that little bit is enough to justify where Ranulf Tromer is like, well, let me check back in with the Empire and see if they're really going to, try and kill her immediately or whatever.
Okay, so that makes you like kind of. It doesn't make Tromer's move to contact his dad seem incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so
Because I think he believed enough in his dad that for whatever reason Ranulf Tromer hasn't seen how horrible the Empire is until this story.
yeah.
So
I think it's more like making it his dad, I think does make it more, realistic that you want your dad to, see what you see now and, make the right decision.
Right. I would imagine if the story continued, we'd see more where he tries to get his dad to switch sides too.
It's a shame. I wonder why. I mean, obviously I get it. Louise Simonson, especially at this time. I mean, 95. What do you think she was working on? She was done with Superman stuff at that point, right?
Probably. If she wasn't done, she was getting close to it.
I don't know. I kind of want a continuation of this story, which I guess is the sign of, hey, it's a good story.
Right. And I mean, who knows how well it sold and stuff too.
Yeah, that's probably what it boils down to. Yeah. I like how they're wearing like a baseball catcher's outfit. Like that's their armor.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. But I guess we need to talk about Merrick now, right?
Yeah. He
is Merrick completely redeemed?
I mean, he's still kind of a jerk, but I mean, he does totally like whatever you guys. I mean, I guess he does blow himself up. That's true. I forgot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Is Merrick the guy with the red eye thing?
Yeah, he's the angry cyborg that got way too into Mora last issue.
Yeah.
And
everyone had very strong feelings about Mora.
Oh, yeah. Well, even before she's a queen. So once it's announced that she's a queen, it's like, man, wow. I'm really into her at this point. Except the Hadrachi. I don't think they're that interested in her.
Yeah, because it's weird. That's one of the weird little plots. Like, why is she the queen of this planet that's full of aliens? Or
She's the first
they're not aliens, but they're
introduced to.
Right, and there's no real other. I mean, I guess Merrick is from this planet, so I guess, but there's not a lot of humans on this planet that it would seem like, oh, well, she's their queen, so they're going to follow her.
Yeah.
By the way, Louise Simonson was on Superman until 1999, so she's still working on Superman.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
she wrote Man of Steel for 8 years.
I had no idea she was on it for that long. So there you go. That's why she didn't. There wasn't really a sequel here. Oh well. Yeah, Merrick has his last words. I'm coming, Jalos. Yeah. And it makes me not like him at the end.
And also, like, I remember in the last issue, it's just Jealous just shows up, and you're like, do you think she's really his girlfriend, or she just like likes him and stuff? But I guess they were really boyfriend girlfriend,
Well, that makes
or
it
whatever. They
worse
were in a relationship.
because he basically he was trying. He was
Oh
like
yeah, he was all over her,
visual.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was clearly cheating, trying to cheat on her. It makes it worse almost, right? When it's
Right.
like, oh, I'm dating this girl, and I am openly in front of her trying to cheat on her with who is going to probably be the queen of our planet, uh, right in front of her. And man, it just makes me not like Merrick more.
Yeah, he was pretty awful.
Oh well, he's dead now, Brian. So
That's true.
yeah, he baroomed with the money. I also thought they had destroyed this mine, but I guess they hadn't yet.
No, they freed all the prisoners, but I don't think they actually like blew it up.
Okay, well, they definitely did now,
Yep.
and they did it in a Chewbacca and Han Force Awakens kind of way. You know, when they're planning the remote bombs on the.
Like the way that everybody blows things up.
Oh, I guess they also did that in Return of the Jedi, don't they?
I mean, how else do you blow things up? You put a bomb and you have
Yeah,
a
but you
remote
put a bunch
detonator.
of little bombs, you know.
Okay, all right. I
I'm,
mean, I think that's fairly common again, but okay.
uh, I'm trying to make connections, Brian. I'm trying to
I
connect
hear
Star
you.
Wars to
This,
itself.
I was gonna say this is Star Wars.
I know. I know. Should Mora and Tromer, is it okay that they just left the planet? Or do
Well,
they have a responsibility to try and stay and fight the good fight? And
I would imagine she'll go back at some point if she's really. I mean, she also accepted that she was the queen pretty quickly. So surely she's got feels some sort of responsibility.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think that Chief is still connected, and this is just kind of like one adventure, and they're just kind of getting out of Dodge just to
Yeah.
getting out of the sticky situation. But you do wonder if she will actually like go back and be queen, or if she'll be like, no, 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 that you're this species that I'm assuming that the Hadraki are like the majority species there, like that they should
Yeah.
kind of she might give them back control.
Sure.
Well, according to Wikipedia, they head to Hoth. And saying that we don't see them on Hoth in Empire, I'm thinking it doesn't end well for our guys here.
Well,
We're getting to the point where we're
shoot.
starting to see a lot of people at Hoth. So,
That's true.
like, Poe's parents were at
Everybody loves
Hoth.
Hoth.
Right.
Everyone loves Hoth.
Magnetoven is on Hoth. There's a lot of people at Hoth that we never saw. So,
Hoth is very, very crowded.
well, yeah, there's a lot of rebels running around that we just didn't focus on.
Dash Rendar somewhere over there.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, we're mixing legends and canon now, but sure.
Yeah. You know who wasn't at Hoth?
I mean, I don't know, a
A
lot
lot
of people.
Yeah, okay. I knew exactly what your answer would be as soon as I asked it, and I felt bad. No Akbar on Hoth, and no Mon Mothma.
Yeah, I guess that we saw. I mean, again, if we saw a story where like, oh yeah, they were there the whole time, I'd be like, yeah, I believe that.
Is a Mon Cala useless on a snow planet?
Probably not useless.
I bet
I
they'd be
don't-
miserable.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know how much they have to be. I don't know if they're like Aquaman. They've got to be in water 1 hour a day or something. I don't know.
I feel like and once again, my trash Star Wars fan brain that just keeps the most useless of information.
Sure.
I think it was in Kevin Scott's Dooku audio book, the Dooku Jedi Lost.
Yeah.
At one point, it's like it's either that or it was Master and Apprentice, and I get some stuff that happens in both those mixed up because they came out at
Right.
the same time.
And it's sort of the same.
They have a lot of the same characters, yeah.
Yeah.
But Qui-Gon is training, and he's like friends with a Mon Cala Jedi who constantly has to be in like he has to like sleep in a water tank. So I'm feeling like you can't really keep those guys if you had to sleep in a water tank.
Yeah.
We're not taking it to Hoth. Like you just
Right.
What are we gonna
You
do?
just you can just stay on your ship on the other side of the planet or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay in orbit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. What are we even talking about now? But yeah, there's nothing in the book that actually says it's Hoth, but Wikipedia says it is, so I'm going with it. Hey, Brian.
It always bothers me where they're just like, oh yeah, they went to Hoth. Like, where did you get that from?
Well, it's a light blue planet, Brian.
Okay, all right.
What? This happens before Empire Strikes Back. What else could it possibly be besides any other planet in the Star Wars
Sure.
universe? Yeah,
Right.
I know. That's not Tromer's dad on the TV that says, "Hey, we're trying to."
No, I think it's another dude.
Yeah. Well, that guy still refers to Ranulf Tromer as a hero.
Well, he was the hero of that battle that's at the beginning of the story. Yeah, Ranulf's dad's got like a goatee.
Yeah.
This dude just got like a little chin thing.
I just feel like I guess you would still refer to them as the hero if they're the person that like had victory at one battle. Even if you're trying to like say, hey, but he's totally a scumbag and he works for the rebels now.
Yeah. This is one of those weird transmissions. Like, where are they getting this from? Is this like on the news or, because it feels weird that would be part of their propaganda is that the hero of whatever has gone to the rebellion. It seems like you want to keep that quiet and just assassinate him or whatever, put a gun on his head.
Yeah, why are we advertising that we're losing Imperials to the rebellion?
Right.
Yeah.
Especially the hero of this battle.
Right, exactly. That's different. Yeah, you know that guy you all loved? Well, he turns out he's bad. He's bad. Yeah. So you should now hate him. Even though he is on the right side of things.
Well, from our point of view.
Okay, Brian. Well,
I mean, not from the
no,
not from the Empire's point of view.
You're now an Imperial sympathizer, Brian.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, now that we're done with River of Chaos, in the grand scheme of things, what are our final thoughts on this miniseries?
I mean, I enjoyed it. Like we were saying when we first read the first issue, it's like I'm pretty sure I know where the story's going. It was pretty simple, but I think especially as dense as that story is, sometimes the story needs to be simple so you can deal with the characters and all that stuff. So
that's true.
I enjoyed it.
There certainly were twists and turns.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the best thing we've ever read, but by far not the worst.
Yeah, I think I love the art in the comic.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no, I really liked the art as well, and I thought it was like extremely easy to read. Like I didn't feel like it was a job, like like trying to get through to to this issue that I knew we were going to talk about. I appreciate the silly stuff, like the woman who's like, I hate you, I love you, I'll die for you, and like the shooting of the horns. Like, I mean, I like that's what I look for in comics is some kind of silly, over dramatic. I feel like it just really works, for the comics, and I think that that kind of stuck it out as making it a little bit more memorable. But it was a really it had a lot of themes about keeping to your heart, like don't give up hope, like don't it doesn't matter. There's a lot of stuff about family, but like you don't feel stuck by where you're who you're if you're born a certain way, don't like think that like determines your entire fate. It really there were a lot of Star Wars themes in this fairly short.
Yeah. And yeah, for that reason, yeah, I think this is a pretty good Star Wars one and done. My last question is: had Glot not died, do you think he would have captured Han Solo before Boba Fett?
Yes, because I really like Glot. So.
And Boba Fett is ridiculously incompetent. So
yes, exactly. I'm going to say yes if he had both of his horns, but no if he did lose one like he did here.
Maybe they grow back.
Oh, that's a bummer. That makes me sad. That makes me way sadder to know
but maybe it grows back and it's even more powerful.
Oh, now you're rubbing salt in the wound here. You're rubbing salt in the horn wound.
And in his defense, I mean, as far as finding Han Solo, it doesn't seem like he works for Jabba or anything, so I don't think he was hired to find Han Solo. So.
Oh, he's a bounty hunter. They all work for Jabba.
Okay.
Name one bounty hunter that doesn't work for Jabba the Hutt.
what's the IG? What's the IG that's in the Darth Vader this week? He didn't seem like he was working for
IG-80?
Jabba. Yeah, he hangs out with Bosk and stuff, but he doesn't seem like he was working for Jabba.
I'm pretty sure he gets blown away in the Darth Vader.
B-Box? Does B-Box work for Jabba?
I'm pretty sure they die before Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, well, sure.
Yeah. But there's got to be some. The Mandalorian, he was working for Jabba.
Yeah.
He was a child. Well, no, he would have been like a teenager. Little Mandalorian by the time of Return of the Jedi, probably.
Sure.
He was a kid during the Clone Wars.
Was he?
Hey, you remember the super battle droid that like shoots his parents?
Yeah, I mean, because the Mandalorian's only like, isn't it like 3 years after, 7 years, something like that? So
That's
Return of the Jedi. So.
Oh yeah, he would have been like in his prime. What was that guy doing?
Maybe we'll get flashbacks in season 2.
Do you think in those flashbacks, Glot will show up in season 2 of The Mandalorian?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Glot is the one who trained him to be a bounty hunter.
In fact, if he doesn't show up, I'm gonna think it's just total trash.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, wait a minute, like you didn't bring back Glot?
Yeah, the opportunity to bring a beloved Star Wars Legends character into canon.
Yeah, that everyone knows.
Exactly.
And
I mean,
poor Dave Filoni's crying in the corner. I gave you a Darksaber and Ahsoka. That's not enough.
Not good enough. Not good enough, Filoni. You know those Godels will sell. I want a Glot action figure.
Yeah.
Shame on him. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Amy, I do want to talk a little bit about some of your work. Tell us a little bit about the searching for Leia, right? Or looking for Leia. Yeah.
So it is a docuseries that it's available right now. If you go to the Sci-Fi website or just search for it on YouTube, it is I think it's 10 parts. They're about 15 episodes each that just kind of looks from different angles at women in Star Wars fandom. And I worked as like the principal researcher. So for the director, I kind of like did a lot of background research about like, you know, how much women were in, you know, advertising for toys. And like when you looked at footage for, you know, lines of like people lined up, like, you know, were women there, just to kind of get an idea of, you know, what was the reality and what was kind of the, you know, media perception at the time. Because part of it was just kind of, you know, it's celebrating female fans, but then also kind of trying to disprove, you know, it's still a lot of people just think that, you know, the vast majority of Star Wars fans have and always have been men. But when you really look back at that footage, like, you know, there's groups of women like just hanging out, you know, waiting in line for The Empire Strikes Back. But, you know, that's not really what you think of necessarily when you think of like people, you know, waiting in line for The Empire Strikes Back. And so that came out at the end of last year, and it is still going to be available, I think, for at least several months on Sci-Fi, and I highly recommend it. It's just, you know, a fun look at cosplayers and fan artists and women who've written Star Wars books, and, you know, just kind of, you know, shows how Star Wars has, you know, affected a lot of people. There's a whole episode about my favorite episode is there was a Navajo translation of A New Hope. And they talked to one of the women that translated it, one of the women that played C-3PO, and another woman who played Princess Leia. And it was kind of interesting because like it was the first movie that it had ever been translated into Navajo, to like hear them talk about it and that whole experience. So there's some really good Star Wars history in it.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah, sounds cool.
I mean, that's yeah. Like, I love whenever like, you know, like you talk about the Navajo, and it just makes it become almost more it's like an anthropology study beyond just like fandom. Like it goes into more interesting research. That's awesome. Also, you have been working for a little while on for StarWars.com.
Yeah, I've written for them for a few years now, and so I mostly, you know, I do a variety of different articles, but but I'm doing more and more interviews. I just interviewed Ashley Eckstein, which was really fun because she wrote the little golden book, I Am a Padawan, which is adorable, and you should buy it for any small child or yourself. The art, I really love the art, that like the style of the art from the little golden book. And so I was actually quite excited to read it. I was like, look at that. Like, now I'm excited about this little golden book. But I do like interviews for them, which is fun. And, every now and then I get to read something a little bit on the early side. And, that's always fun.
Nice. And yeah, you are continuing your post, your 365 Star Wars Women, right?
I am, yeah. No, I haven't posted anything new for a little bit, but I have some plans. I haven't done. I was a really big fan of playing Jedi Fallen Order,
Nice.
and so I would really like to. I've done a couple of the female characters in there, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff I want to dive into. So that should be coming soon.
Where can people find those posts?
So 365starwars.com is my website, and there's a Twitter account, 365_Star Wars, and then my personal account, which I tweet much more often from, actually, is at Amy Richau, AMYRICHAU. And so that's where you can find me.
Excellent. We'll be sure to post links to all that stuff in the description of this episode. Amy, I want to thank you again for joining us for this episode of Star Wars Comics Daily. I hope you enjoyed River of Chaos.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're gonna have you back. Maybe we'll twist your arm and we'll make you a fan of Legacy.
That's a pretty big commitment.
Yeah, it's a big twist.
I'll let you know if I start reading it.
Okay, please do.
We'll bring you in for the last issue, so you have to read the whole series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll send you our spreadsheets and our pegboards with twine and everything, so you can keep up with all the twists and turns. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Star Wars Comics Daily. Tomorrow, we are, speaking of Legacy, we're going to be looking at Legacy number 31, Vector, Part 12. So,
yeah, the big finale of Vector.
The big finale. A bunch of stuff happens.
Nobody dies.
Seemingly.
Well, everybody dies.
Yeah, exactly. Which I guess is going to continue the theme of this issue. But that's going to be it for today. From Star Wars Comics Daily, I'm Matt Wood.
And I'm Brian Keown.
And until tomorrow, may the Force be with you.